you're stuck with me. But we've got something really special for you today. If you want, you can try and cast your mind back. I know it's been a lot of months, back to March. Does everybody remember March? You know, when the world fell apart? We had a special guest scheduled for my sewing room in March named Helen Godden. This is a picture of Helen. And she was going to be able to do some wonderful classes here for us in March, but unfortunately COVID got in the way, so we had to send her back to Australia. So we've waited and we've waited, and finally Anne came to me the other day and she says, you can be our Helen. So what we've got for you today is a nice little demo of Helen Godden's Lumiere paints. And Dawn has prepared a wonderful little kit for everybody. So these are the paints. Hopefully everybody can see those. This is called the Exciters kit, and it really is exciting. This is an acrylic paint designed to go on fabric, on stamps if you like to do stamping, on natural and synthetic fibers. You can put it on leather, on wood, on canvas. You can paint just about anything, but it washes, your brushes up with water. It's safe. You could let the kids use it. And this Exciter pack has got some great metallic, sparkly, pearlescent type colors in it. So this is what we're going to feature. Yay! And so for all of our wonderful watchers and listeners, we have also prepared the little kit that goes with it, free of charge. When you buy the Exciter pack of paints, you get the pattern for our little joy panel and a nice piece of black fabric, because that really shows off the paints. So that's what we're going to work on between today and tomorrow. If you have any questions about the Lumiere paints, I had a chance to test them out. Once they are dry, it is washable. I think I'm going to make myself a t-shirt that says vintage goods or mid-century modern. I haven't decided which. When it's on the fabric, so it's washable, it does change the surface texture a little bit. You can maybe hear the scritchy scratch on that. But especially for our art projects, that really doesn't matter. They go on beautifully. The pack has these little bottles of paint, but they seem to go a long, long way. So we're going to be painting today. We're going to start our project, and tomorrow I'm going to show you how to carry on and quilt it the way Helen would have quilted it when she was doing her quilt-a-doodles and her cracked pots classes. Okay, so I've got my design transferred onto my black component. You guys can see it upside down, or maybe I can turn it around if you like, but it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to see it upside down. You want to protect your work surface, and I've just got a piece of paper under mine because I found when I was doing this one, the paint does soak through a little bit. So if you're working on a good kitchen table or something, it can be a little hard to get that paint off afterwards. So now I got myself a handy dandy palette, otherwise called a pie plate, because hey, who doesn't like pie? And I am going to play with some of these colors. So the first thing you want to do, because they're pearlescent, is give them a good shake. And you can see from my palette, I'll hold it up there, can everybody see? Good. That you don't need to start with a lot of paint. Just start with a few little puddles like that, because it does go fairly far. And I'm going to paint this one up for Leah, because Leah says in her world, pink and teal are Christmas colors. So the other one was a little more traditional. You don't have to wet your brush, but I do find that having the bristles a little bit damp gives you a nice sharp edge. So here we go. dip a little. The idea behind this panel, as you can see from our little sample here, it's almost like a stained glass. So when we paint, we're going to leave these nice fat marker lines unpainted, and that's going to be our black leading around our stained glass. So I'm going to start right here and just dab it on. It's a very sort of a relaxing kind of a process. We also have some paint brushes that came with this. They're a very, very fine tip. But I find this style of brush, it doesn't have to be an expensive brush. It's just a nice little flat paintbrush from the painting days. But you can pick up some fairly inexpensive paint brushes. What I found with some of these pearlescent paints, you have to put a really good layer of paint on your fabric before you see the color. And there were some areas of the first panel that I actually went over more than once, just to show the colors a bit better. There we go. So you can see how that paint goes onto the fabric. It's a pretty thick paint, and you just draw it along. I don't know, this is not as bright a pink as Leah likes. Leah likes that neon stuff. We're gonna have to maybe do a little overpainting on this part. So now this is where I want to leave that little black edge between the letters. Now I was checking on Helen's website, and the lady that was interviewing her, Vicky Hoth from Handy Quilter, was asking her, what happens if you make a mistake? Because mistakes happen, and yeah, sometimes they're okay and we can let them go. And sometimes things would look better if we could just fix it. So these are a permanent paint. Once they're dry, you're not going to get them off. So if you have a look at the original panel here, there's a few spots where I kind of wish I had have left a bit wider line, and I notice a little dot right about there. So best way to touch that up is good old Sharpie marker. Just take a nice fine tip black Sharpie marker, and you can actually dab it onto any oopses that you might have made. Well, it's turning pinker. I don't know about this. All right, let's get us a little bit more. That's the nice thing with this type of paint is black's going to be your highest contrast. Yeah, I think as it looked pinker in the glass. Yeah, it does actually. And I think it's because to make a paint pearlescent, it actually has little ground bead type things in it. So when you're putting it onto a porous surface like fabric, some of it is going to soak in, and you're getting more of the pearl, more of the silvery pearly color than the actual pigment in the paint. Okay, so what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to let that dry, and I might put a second coat of the pink over top of that. Now you can see that's about all you need to do to clean your brush. Dampen it like that. I didn't bring paper towel, but I like to always have a bigger workspace than what I need. So you don't have to, it's not like a water paint. Your brush doesn't have to be wet. It's not a water, it's not a water paint per se, although you can thin it down with water if you want to do something softer and more delicate, like a sunset or a landscape. But I think once this is dry, I might put a second layer of that over top. So now I get to change colors. So I'm going to start right in the center here to show you how we're going to leave that black. Oh yeah, Leah's going to love this one. Haha. So you can see this turquoise. This one was the pearlescent turquoise. That's what I used in the background of this one as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it looks different with a different color lettering. There we go. So you can see that we leave the black space in there to give it that stained glass look. Now, it is possible, or it should be possible, I'm going to try. I love to experiment when I'm doing things like this. And something I did on the first panel was I just painted one color in each section. But I think it would be possible to blend these paints. So I'm going to grab a little bit of, let me see, what other colors have I got here? It's this one. Halo Blue Gold. That should go with turquoise. Give it a real good shake. Put just a drop of that guy out. It's funny they call it Halo Blue, but it almost has a greenish look to it. So now I'm going to take, while this turquoise is still wet, and see if I can just blend that. Oh, I like that. Okay, a little more turquoise. So now we have to decide what other paints we're going to use too. Helen was saying when she teaches this as a class that it can be a very loud, chattery group until everybody starts painting. And then the zen of painting takes over. And everybody just sort of goes, ah. So I think you're getting a bit of a sense on how quickly or how slowly the paint goes onto the fabric. I think it's something that a little panel like this you could certainly do in an hour or so. The nice thing is, if you're painting something and you don't want to be as particular, or you don't have to be, the paint is safe for kids to use. I wouldn't use it as face paint, but because it'd be a little hard to get off. But you could certainly give them a piece of fabric and have them paint something simple on it, and then maybe work that fabric into a little placemat or pillowcase for a special grandma. So you can see here I've got a little oops right there. Once that paint's dry, I will either cover that with thread or get out my Sharpie marker. The paint dries, well, Helen says you set it aside and go and have a nice cup of tea and then it would be dry. I found I didn't quite trust it after a couple of hours. I actually left this one overnight, so I knew it was really dry. But I think 2 to 3 hours would be sufficient. You'll know because you can actually touch it and feel it. So I mean, it's not an instant drying paint, and I think it's going to dry faster on a surface like the fabric than perhaps on other surfaces. You could also use this really successfully on a product that we carry here at the store called Craftex. Craftex is literally, and I have used it, a washable paper product. So you can use it to make pouches and wallets and book covers, things like that. It looks really nice when it's soaked in water and then scrumpled up. It's kind of distressed look. Great little product, and this is going to work really well on something like that. If I do this, and once it's dry, I look at it and I go, I don't like that. It is opaque enough that I can paint over it and get a slightly different effect. There we go. So that is the start of our little joy panel. I like that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So what else can I tell you about these wonderful paints? I'm liking them so much I just might have to buy some of those big jars. I think in the world of paints, and I've had some experience with them, price-wise, these are a really good price for what you're getting. The quality of the paint, the way it goes onto the fabric, and the texture of the fabric after it is dried. This is, yeah, it's got a rubbery surface, but it's not as firm even as some t-shirts that you get that have that thicker paint layer on it. So I think that's about it for today. I'm going to do my homework and finish painting this nice little panel. And hopefully everybody can come back and join me tomorrow. And we're going to do some quilting. We're just going to work free motion, just pretty easy to carry on with the Helen Godden theme. And hopefully down the road, as the years turn round, we will actually be able to bring Helen back to Canada to teach the classes in person. In the meantime, by all means, check her out on her own website, or also she has some wonderful videos on the Handy Quilter website, because she is a Handy Quilter demonstrator, Handy Quilter rep. Until tomorrow then, what's Leah's line? Stay safe.
Be safe, be calm.
Be safe, be calm, be kind, and happy quilting.